Hey everyone, are robots gonna take over all our jobs? It's a question that's kind of exciting and a little bit terrifying,
Well,
right? So today we are diving deep into the future of employment.
okay.
We're going to be exploring how automation and the digital economy are, well, reshaping how we work. And don't worry, we're not going to just leave you with anxieties. We're going to arm you with insights from Manuel Hidalgo's book, The Employment of the Future.
Okay.
You've got to admit, though, that fear of robots coming for our jobs, it's not exactly a new fear, is it?
No, it's a tale. It's a tale as old as time, or at least as old as the first machines.
Okay.
Yeah, what's fascinating is this fear of technology making human jobs obsolete. It's been around since, well, since the very first tools were invented.
So you're telling me this fear of technology, replacing us, it's nothing new? That's actually kind of reassuring in a way.
Yeah.
But how did they cope back then? Give me some historical context here.
Okay, think about the Industrial Revolution.
Right.
It was this time of, immense change, and people were terrified. Terrified that machines, these newfangled contraptions were going to, drive them all into unemployment. But guess what happened?
Right.
A surge of new jobs, even if they were different from before.
Yeah.
It's all about adaptation.
Okay, I'm starting to see a pattern here, but give me an example. Something relatable.
Okay.
Those were simpler times, right? Can we even compare a steam engine to artificial intelligence, right?
Let me share a story, an intriguing story from 1814. The Times newspaper in London, they implemented a steam-powered printing press, their version of going digital, right?
Mm.
They had the same anxieties about job losses. Yet, this printing press, it allowed them to produce papers faster, cheaper, which led to a wider reach,
Okay.
more advertising, and, you guessed it, more jobs. The key takeaway here is that technology often transforms jobs. It doesn't eliminate them.
That makes you wonder, what seemingly unreplaceable jobs today might transform in the future, right?
Right.
Are we all going to be robot repair people or something?
That's the million-dollar question, and it's not always about, completely new jobs. Sometimes it's about how existing professions evolve.
Yeah.
Think about photographers.
Okay.
The digital camera, it automated so many tasks, but did photographers disappear?
Right.
Absolutely not. If anything, it freed them up to focus on things like, creativity, building their brand, really connecting with their clients.
That's a really interesting way to think about it. So instead of fearing obsolescence, maybe we should be asking how our jobs might change,
Yeah.
what skills we need to thrive in the future.
Precisely. And that brings us to the heart of this deep dive. While technology might not lead to mass unemployment, it will undoubtedly, shift the job market. So how do we prepare for that change? What should you, as someone navigating this new world of work, be paying attention to?
So how vulnerable are we, really? I remember reading the study a few years back. It said almost half of U.S. jobs could be automated.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of got my attention. Are we all just a few years away from robots, taking over everything?
You're talking about the Frey and Osborne study from 2017, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it definitely, it caused a stir. But while the predictions were eye-opening, it's really crucial to remember that automation won't impact every job equally.
Okay.
Yeah. Some jobs will be, fully automated, yes.
Yeah.
But others will just see certain tasks taken over by machines,
Okay.
while some, might remain virtually unchanged.
So knowing, my career path, what should I be paying attention to? What types of skills will be crucial in the coming years?
That's where it gets really interesting. Jobs heavy on routine tasks. So those that involve a lot of repetition, those are the most vulnerable. Think like factory work, data entry, even certain aspects of law, like document review.
Okay.
On the flip side, if your job requires complex problem solving, creativity, those uniquely human social skills, emotional intelligence, well, you're in a much better position.
So robots are better at crunching numbers and following instructions, but they still struggle with things like empathy and nuanced communication.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, Hidalgo talks about this fascinating concept in his book. He calls it the smile curve, and it illustrates this beautifully. Imagine a curve shaped like a smile.
Okay. Yeah.
The two ends, those points curving upward, they represent the highest value stages of production.
Okay.
Design at one end, post-sale service at the other.
Okay.
These require a high level of human ingenuity interaction. But the bottom of the smile,
Yeah.
That's where you find the routine-heavy manufacturing, the tasks that are, increasingly being automated.
So the most valuable tasks, those requiring uniquely human skills, they're at the edges, while the easily automated ones are down in the middle where the value is lower.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay.
Yeah. And this has huge implications for the future of work. The jobs that are most likely to thrive in this new landscape are those that focus on the human element, designing innovative products, providing that personalized customer service, managing those complex human interactions.
Okay. I'm starting to see the bigger picture here. It's not just about robots like taking over. It's about a shift in the types of jobs that will be in high demand. It's almost like we need to like work smarter, not harder,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And that leads us to the rise of new forms of employment, like the gig economy.
Okay.
Platforms like Uber, Deliveroo, Amazon Marketplace, they're creating this whole new world of work.
Yeah.
One with both, exciting possibilities and some serious challenges.
Yeah, the gig economy is everywhere these days. It's completely changing how we think about work. Like, what's Hidalgo's take on this new world of platform-based work?
He points out that this type of work, it blurs the lines between employer and employee,
Okay.
which raises important questions about worker rights, protections, the future of labor regulations. Remember when Steve Jobs famously told President Obama, those jobs aren't coming back?
I do. It was a pretty stark statement. Jobs wasn't sugarcoating it.
Not at all. And he went on to explain that those jobs, they weren't just going overseas for cheaper labor. It was because companies were prioritizing flexibility and efficiency.
Okay.
Platforms like Uber and Deliveroo, they embody this trend perfectly.
Okay.
They allow companies to access this vast pool of workers on demand without the traditional overhead of full-time employees.
But that flexibility comes at a price, doesn't it? Like, gig workers often lack benefits, security, compared to traditional employees.
Yeah.
Feels like there are trade-offs everywhere you look.
That's a crucial point. Hidalgo, he highlights both the potential benefits and drawbacks of platform work. On the one hand, you have increased flexibility, autonomy for workers.
Right.
You can, often choose your own hours, you work from anywhere, be your own boss. But on the other hand, it often means income instability, lack of access to benefits like health care, and as you mentioned, limited worker protections. It's a trade-off a lot of people are grappling with.
It's almost like this trade-off between freedom and security. It makes you wonder, what's the right balance?
That's a question more and more people are asking themselves.
Mhm.
And it's not a simple answer. Now, Hidalgo also dives into some fascinating details about how these platforms operate. For example, he talks about how rating systems on platforms like Uber function as a modern-day reputation economy.
Reputation economy. Now that sounds interesting. Tell me more about that. Like, what does that even mean?
Imagine you're an Uber driver, right?
Right.
You're constantly being evaluated by your passengers.
Right.
And those ratings, they directly impact your ability to get work.
Wow.
A few bad ratings, and you could see fewer ride requests, meaning less income.
Okay.
This creates a system where workers are constantly striving to maintain a positive reputation, often going above and beyond what's expected.
Wow, that adds a whole other layer of pressure to gig work. It's not just about doing your job well, it's about constantly managing your public image within the platform. It makes you wonder if all that pressure is even healthy.
You're hitting on a really important point, this reputation economy. It raises questions about power dynamics, algorithmic bias, the need for greater transparency and accountability within these platforms. It's something we need to be talking about.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've covered the history of automation, the anxieties surrounding it, the opportunities it presents, and the rise of the gig economy. But let's get practical here. What does all of this mean for someone like me who's trying to navigate the future of work?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the good news is that Hidalgo, he offers some actionable advice based on all these insights. His first piece of advice: lifelong learning. The pace of technological change is only accelerating,
Right.
which means the ability to continuously adapt and acquire new skills is essential.
Okay.
It's no longer enough to, learn a trade or profession and call it a day.
Right.
We've got to become lifelong learners, always updating our skill sets.
So it's like that old saying, use it or lose it, but for our brains,
Exactly.
gotta stay sharp.
And speaking of using our brains, the second piece of advice focuses on what Hidalgo calls human skills. The ones that machines, at least for now, struggle to replicate.
Okay.
Things like critical thinking, complex problem solving, communication, creativity, emotional intelligence.
Right.
These skills have always been valuable, but they're even more important in today's, rapidly changing world.
It's almost like those human skills, they become our unique advantage in a world where machines are becoming more and more capable.
Yeah.
So how do we make sure we're focusing on the right skills?
It's about understanding the trends we've been discussing. As machines take over those routine tasks,
Hmm.
our ability to think critically, creatively, and collaboratively, well, that's going to be what sets us apart in the workforce.
Okay.
We need to play to our strengths, right?
Right.
And finally, Hidalgo, he emphasizes the importance of embracing flexibility.
Okay.
The future of work, it's less about those traditional 9 to 5 jobs and more about, project-based work, remote work, flexible arrangements.
Yeah.
It's about being adaptable.
So the ability to adapt to these new ways of working, to be comfortable with uncertainty and change, that's going to be a major asset in the future.
Absolutely. And remember, Hidalgo's message, it isn't one of fear or doom and gloom.
Oh.
It's a call to action. Rather than fearing technology, we should focus on developing the skills and mindsets that'll allow us to thrive alongside it.
That's a really empowering message. It's not about being replaced, it's about adapting and evolving.
Exactly. And it's about recognizing that the future of work, it's not predetermined.
Right.
It's something that we are actively shaping through the choices we make today.
I love that. So the challenge for us is to embrace that potential, to focus on what makes us uniquely human, and to use technology as a tool to amplify our strengths.
You got it. The future of work is in our hands. Let's make it a good one, right?
I'm with you on that. Now, before we wrap up, any final thoughts for our listeners who are, ready to take on this future of work? What's the one thing you want them to remember?
As we become increasingly reliant on technology, it's easy to fall into this trap of thinking that our value lies solely in our productivity,
Yeah.
and how efficiently we can complete tasks. But the truth is, our humanity is our greatest asset.
Okay.
It's our creativity, our compassion, our ability to connect with one another on a deeper level. These are the things that make us irreplaceable.
Yeah.
So as you navigate the future of work, don't forget to nurture your humanity.
Yeah.
It's what will ultimately set you apart and allow you to thrive.
That's such a powerful message. Our humanity is what makes us unique and valuable. And that's something worth remembering no matter what the future of work holds. Thanks for that insightful reminder.
You're very welcome.
Well, that was incredible. So many thought-provoking ideas to unpack. And you know what? I think we did a pretty good job of breaking it all down. If you're looking for me, I'll be over here brushing up on my human skills and maybe taking a coding class or two, just in case. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the future of work. Until next time, keep learning, keep adapting, and keep being awesome.